You know, in general, I'm just being honest. In general, people don't like Mondays. They don't. I love Mondays. I love doing the classic guitar rock daily update on a Monday because there's usually good stuff to talk about. I'm excited that you're joining me and it's a wonderful thing. So thank you for joining me. I'm your friend Jeremy. A few things in the news. Iron Maiden singer Bruce Dickinson will release a new solo album, The Mandrake Project, sometime in 2024. Can you think of a more British sounding album than The Mandrake Project? I'm very curious as to what this will sound like. He's just revealed. Let's see. Sorry, I can't read here. He's released a teaser for the new single "Afterglow of Ragnarok." There's like a cloud of nerdiness floating over this whole project. I love it. It's going to be awesome. Here's a quote. "It was important to set the tone of the project with this track," Dickinson says of "Afterglow of Ragnarok," a snippet of which can be heard in an Instagram post that I don't do the Instagram. The kids are all on Instagram. You'll have to check it out on Instagram. Quote, "As befitting its title, it's a heavy song and there's a great big riff driving it, but there's also a real melody in the chorus that displays the light and shade that the rest of the album brings." So there we go. Light and shade coming in the new Bruce Dickinson Mandrake Project album coming out in 2024. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big Bruce Dickinson fan. Guys, can I share something with you that I've repressed since 1982? Can I share this with you? I'm sorry, not 1982, 1983. June of 1983, Spokane Coliseum. I'm there to see Iron Maiden headlining. Opening was Fastway and Saxon. Let me set the scene for you. Let's see, this is the summer between my sophomore and junior year. I'm skinny. I'm probably almost as tall as I am now. So I'm 6 feet tall, probably weigh 140. And what you can do back in these days, kids, if you were too young to have experienced general admission concerts, well, what you do is you start snaking your way up, right? So as Fastway's on, I'm there's the seats all around, and then they leave the whole hockey rink floor open, right? And then people just go kind of stand and mill around in the middle and stumble around and whatever. But the people that really want to see the show, they start doing their little angle. They just get a shoulder in here and a shoulder in there. And then before the headliner starts, the goal is you want to be right on the front row. I, in fact, was on the front row to see Iron Maiden. This is the Peace of Mind tour. So here I am, front row. Actually, I was not yet. I was probably still a short guy. I was probably about 5'5", 5'6". I hadn't wasn't really till my junior year till I hit my growth spurt. So I'm a little guy. And I think that helped in the wriggling. So I'm wriggled up to the front of the stage. And here's my arms on there's like a little wall here. And then there's like a 3-foot space where the security guys stand, and then the stage. So here's me and 3 feet to Dave Murray's monitor. So Dave is probably 6 feet from me, 7 feet from me the whole show. And if you've never been on the front row at a major concert, it's a completely different world because, they look at you, they make eye contact, you can hear them talking between songs, and you can kind of talk to them between songs. It was a whole different experience. Okay. So it was like Dave and I were on the connection, right? Because I'm like, whole time I'm looking right at him and I'm telling him he's awesome. And I'm like, it was really cool. Here's where the story takes a turn for the worse. Great show, great concert. Dave's, really nice guy, doing a great job, doing his whole thing. The concert is over. Remember, Dave always wore the wristbands, right? The wristbands. Lots of guys back in the 80s wore the kind of athletic wristbands, soak up the sweat, right? Sweat bands. So the show is over. You know, the stage lights have come up. Dave is taking his wristbands off. He got them both in his hand. He hands them to me. He's reaching over his monitor to put them in my hand. I've got my hands up to take them. I'm like, I'm getting Dave Murray's sweaty wristbands. And then guess what happens? Some chick sitting on a guy's shoulder leans over, does like a Shep Messing soccer save, reaches over, grabs the wristbands, and she got him. She snagged him from my fingertips. I was like 15 years. Who does that to a 15-year-old Iron Maiden fan who's about to have his dreams come true by getting Dave Murray's sweaty wristbands? And what can Dave do? He kind of shrugs his shoulders, and then he gave me a pick. So I got a guitar pick, but man, that's not the same as his sweat-drenched wristband that I could have had. Because Dave and I, we had a connection during that concert. Never gotten over that. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to go down that. What's the moral to this story? Stay away from girls on guys' shoulders at a concert. By the way, go back and check out our episode about Rat if you want to hear a story about girls on guys' shoulders. I'm just going to throw that out there. Dire Straits bassist John Illsley admitted the band still has no interest in reuniting, despite many lucrative offers to do so. Quote, every time we have lunch, I missed a thing. During a conversation with The Telegraph, Illsley noted that he regularly gets together with the band's former manager. Quote, every time we have lunch, he says to me, I wish people would stop offering me huge amounts of money to put Dire Straits back together. Quote, when you stop a machine like the Dire Straits thing, there's a massive vacuum. And you ask yourself if it was a good idea, meaning a good idea to break up. And I had to keep telling myself that it was a good idea because you're doing something else completely different. I was in London studying painting. I got some lessons, made a terrible mess for 7 or 8 years, and then started doing art shows. I thought, okay, this is fun. And I stopped playing music for quite a while. I leaned the bass against the wall and said, thank you very much, but I'm doing something different now. Now, Illsley and Mark Knopfler are the only two members of Dire Straits that were in it the whole time. And I'm a fan from 78 when the debut album came out. I was like in 6th grade, I think, when that album came out. And I just remember fixating on Sultans of Swing. I thought that was the coolest song ever. I have that on vinyl. I've had it on vinyl forever. Still play the heck out of it. One of the all-time great debut albums and just a great album overall. And to be honest, the 80s stuff, the Money for Nothing and Walk of Life, I mean, it's okay. But I was much more a big fan of the first couple albums, but they were pretty big in the mid 80s and no regrets about them breaking up. There's an interesting documentary that John Illsley, I think, actually produced. It's John Illsley interviewing Mark Knopfler. And it's just I can't even remember the name of it. Check it out so you can find it. You're like, I really like Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler, of course, has moved on and done a lot of movie soundtracks and things like that. And they made enough money. They didn't have to do it. But they've never had a desire to reunite, which is interesting. Jimmy Page. Now, you all know how I feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a complete piece of crap joke. Okay. I just have Sheryl Crow and Tom Morello and who else? Ice-T. I can't remember. Missy Elliott. Okay. These people all went in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this past Friday. And nothing against these artists. This is not about these artists. This is about having a hall you call the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where Missy Elliott and Sheryl Crow get in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before Foreigner and Styx and Kansas and Bad Company and a list of about 20 other artists, much more deserving. Don't get me started. I will say one thing that was kind of cool. Nothing to do with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's just they invited someone that was pretty cool. Jimmy Page played a tribute to Link Wray. Jimmy Page, along with Anton Fig. We've talked about Anton Fig. They played Rumble. Rumble, an iconic tune from Link Wray. Link Wray is credited with inventing fuzz tone. People tell the story about Keith Richards cutting a speaker to make the fuzz tone sound on Satisfaction. Well, Link Wray did that way before. Okay. Link Wray poked a hole in his speaker to make it all rumbly sounding. And Link Wray, really one of the fathers of instrumental rock, along with like Dick Dale and guys like that. This kind of pre-surf guitar, it was Link Wray. Anyways, Jimmy Page says, quote, I was asked to induct Link Wray into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a guitarist, instrumentalist, and songwriter that I'd admired from the very first taste of Rumble. I first heard it when I was 14, roaring from a jukebox in my hometown of Epsom. As a guitar instrumental, the attitude of it was totally unique in its mystery, imagination, and execution. It had a profound effect on me. Link Wray and Rumble stand alone at the pinnacle in the world of instrumentals, and I was thrilled to stand on it. I was thrilled to stand on stage in New York with drummer Anton Fig and bassist Tim Givens at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last night to induct one of my heroes. Here's what Anton said. Having played and recorded with Link so many times in the 80s, I was honored to be asked to be in this band. He wrote, and of course with Jimmy Page, it was a dream come true. He approached this with such reverence and humility. It was an absolute thrill to be up there behind him. So that was kind of cool. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a steaming pile of poop. Sammy Hagar has expressed his continued frustration that a tribute concert honoring Eddie Van Halen has not taken place. Guys, how long has it been since he died? 3 years? Oh, about 3 years, right? 3 years. Nothing. Quote, I'm so disappointed how they've handled everything, including when I left the band and what they did. The dysfunction in that band. When I was in the band, the first 9 years, we got along like freaking brothers and sisters, and we were happy together. One big family. Things went wrong. Drugs and alcohol are a bad thing when it turns ugly. It's just never been the same. And according to Sammy, that dysfunction is the primary reason a much discussed tribute concert for Eddie Van Halen never came to fruition. Guys, one last thing he says, for them not to have done something for Eddie Van Halen, the greatest guitar player in the world, on the planet, greatest rock musician, I'm telling you, it's ugly, but it's not my job. And to be honest, he can't really do it because he's not part of Van Halen. Here's the thing, and I don't mean to sound judgmental. Alex is the reason there hasn't been anything done. Alex hasn't done anything since Van Halen, and I don't think wants to do anything. Alex is the reason nothing has happened. Sorry. Dave's not really wanting to do anything either. I mean, I think Wolfgang wants to do something more than either Alex or Dave do. Sammy's on the outside looking in. Mike's on the outside looking in. They've both said they would love to be involved with some type of tribute to Eddie. And now it's 3 years later. It's Alex. Okay. And again, I'm not judging Alex. He just doesn't want to do it. And so if Alex doesn't want to do it, and based on things I've read from Wolfie saying and other people saying, Alex really kind of ran the band in a lot of ways. We all assume it was Ed, but I don't think Ed would do anything without Alex's blessing. And now that Eddie's gone, if Alex doesn't want to do it, it ain't going to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong. If someone can refute that, I'd love to hear it. But I think that's why nothing has happened. Until Al wants to do something, Nothing's going to happen. Toto featuring one of the greatest guitarists ever, Steve Lukather, okay, and singer Joseph Williams has announced details of the band's headline appearances in North America within the planned Journey itinerary. So they're going on tour with Journey opening, which they did 2 years ago. I didn't see that tour, but I heard it was really good. But Toto will also do some headline dates. So be on the lookout for that. Toto's just a great live band. Great live band. Lukather, one of the greatest guitar players ever. You know, and we don't talk about Lukather, and I think because Lukather is not, well, he was pop. He played on a lot of pop stuff. Do you realize how many hit records from the late 70s through the 80s that he played on? I mean, the Tubes, Lionel Richie. I mean, hundreds of hit records that Lukather played. Michael Jackson, right? It's a phenomenal guitarist. If you ever get a chance to see Toto live, go see him live. They are awesome. Okay. And the band is always really good. So if you can see him with Journey, see him with Journey. If you can't see him on their own, whatever, see them both. See him with Journey, see him headlining. It would be great. In a new interview with Rockin' Metal Reviver, Dokken leader Don Dokken spoke about the possibility of writing an autobiography. Quote, I've had offers for decades. A lot of bands write they call their autobiography, like Motley Crue's The Dirt and all that stuff. And I've always said no. They offered me just a S-load of money to write the Dokken story because it's wonderful and it's tragic. And I said, well, I don't want to write a book because if I tell the truth about the nightmare of my 8-year run with those 3 other guys, it's not fun. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I don't want to talk about how I had 3 band members that were completely addicted cocaine and alcoholics. I'm not defending myself. I just never got into cocaine. I never got into having a drink and a fifth of Jack Daniels before the show. It just wasn't my thing. And that's what kind of destroyed the band. Yeah. My friend, the legendary Eric Sharam, chiming in. He says, I never understood the division between it being rock or pop. If it's good, isn't it good? I appreciate the talent when on display. Completely agree, Eric. By the way, I watch your calls of the MacArthur Highlanders every Friday night, Eric. Just want you to know. Lawton, Oklahoma. I went to Lawton High School in Lawton, Oklahoma, and one of our rivals was the MacArthur Highlanders. Eric Sharam, I'm sharing all this inside baseball. In this situation, inside football information. Eric Sharam runs the Oklahoma Sports Network, and he also calls games. And I always like to tune in and hear Eric call the games. So I'm watching on YouTube. I watched the game on Friday night against Noble. Inside baseball. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for tuning in. But I completely agree. Rock, pop, and that's the thing about Steve Lukather. He is one of the best. One of the best. What was I just talking about? Don Dokken. Yeah, so he doesn't want to badmouth anyone in an autobiography. He's happy to do it during an interview, but in an autobiography, no way. He won't do it. Is there really that much demand for a Dokken autobiography? Don't get me wrong, love Dokken, love Don Dokken, but is there that much pent up demand for an autobiography, a story of Dokken? I don't know. Well, hey, that's what I got for you today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for following us on X. We are so close to 50,000 followers on X. If you aren't following us on X, and if you're on X, give us a follow. Thanks so much. And we will see you tomorrow for the next Classic Guitar Rock update. Live long.